Well, guys, we're back at it again on the car crusher today, and it is chilly out here today. Kind of sucks a little bit, but I got a bunch more stuff done here in the center, so now the center is actually all prepped and ready to go. I'll flash you guys to that real quick so you can see what all we had to do to get that ready. And now that all that is done, I think we're ready to go ahead and put a piece of plate still over the top of that and kind of cap that off. I don't think it needs to be flush. I think we can just lay it right over the top and it'll be plenty fine. Well, finished up yesterday with just doing a bunch more welding on those plates. Got those all kind of stuck down where they need to go. Now our base is pretty well done at this point. Got a couple more little spots to weld in, but not too much. And I've got that big piece of iron back there stacked right in place there and all measured out to where we can use that as a hinge. I don't want to have the hinge point be completely flat and even with the base, because as we bell stuff up, it's going to get bigger and bigger and taller. So I wanted to have it built up about the same height as what we're going to make our bells, or what we're going to try to make our bells with. So that back there is sitting at about 24 or so inches, something like that, I think is what that I-beam was. And I'm going to try to make it somewhere closer to 30 inches by the time I get the hinge point on there. Here's kind of a little bit closer look of our I-beam back here on the deck. I can't really see, but hopefully you guys can. Got some pieces in here to kind of keep it from going this way back and forth, and we've got some pieces stuck in here on the sides, on both sides. So that's going to give us some support there. Plus we're welding it all the way across the deck. Not all the way, but we're stitching in some pieces all the way across the deck there. Connor is burning in some welds on that big I-beam there in the center, and we had slipped that one back in. You guys remember from the last video, we've got most of the cross pieces welded in there everywhere, but it didn't actually have it stuck down to the tread plate part of the lid yet. So once he gets that on there, and we've got a little bit more welding there to do, we'll be able to actually take the lid and we'll flip it over. Once it's flipped over, then we can patch in a couple of little spots that's got some holes in it there from where they had service panels in the scale. Once Connor gets that done over there, then we can start working on some hinges, and we've got some pins already started over here. You can see those shafts over here. Get you guys a little closer look at that. So, sun's terrible. So we've got 4 pins here. I think we're only going to actually end up using 3 of them because of the beams that we have underneath our deck. That's kind of going to work out better, I think. So we've got a collar that's going to go on the lid, the bigger, taller pieces, and then we're going to do the 2 collars there on the outside of the centerpiece. Not really making sense on any of that. So thought maybe before we go ahead and put all that on there, it'd be kind of fun to see, kind of a test, I guess, if you will, if this thing's actually got enough weight on it already to be able to crush a car. I think it's going to. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I guess the only way to know for sure is to do some math that I don't know how to figure, or to actually just try it. So we're here, we got plenty of cars. Terry went over to grab a car real quick, and he's just gonna sit it here beside it, and then we're gonna take the forks, he's gonna take the forks, and just pick up this end of our lid and just kind of just stand it up, put it over the top of the car, and just lift it up until it falls off the forks, and we'll see what it does. So guess we'll know here in a second if it's gonna work. So is that pretty badass or what? This thing is going to crush cars without a doubt. So that was only a fraction of the angle that this will be at when we actually release it, because we're going to have it standing pretty close to straight up and down. That's going to be where it's going to be the easiest to let the dog out of the winch. And once it's up there coming down with that full momentum from all the way up top, I think it's going to flatten the car really well. So I think we're on the right track now. I'm going to show you guys, we got some little holes up in here that I need to cover up so we don't have parts going through there when we're trying to crush everything. So that won't be that big of a deal. It's just some little plates to weld on. But now you can kind of see, so this piece right here is going to be one of the pieces that I actually put on here for our pin to go through. So this will be attached to here, and then we'll have the other two sides. I got one of those over here. We'll have this side, the little one, actually attached to the base over there, and we'll have one on each side, and then we'll have a pin go through it. So now you guys can kind of get an idea of where I'm heading with the whole pin scenario and making this thing pivot. So got to figure out now how to attach this to this and not have it come off. So that's going to be a little bit of a chore there. I think we're gonna have to take some of the deck plate off, get down to this main big I-beam that's in here, and then start plating it in from there. So start whacking on it, see where I end up. Alright, so now that the airplane is finally far enough away that I can talk, we've got the top plate all cut off there. That took an hour and a half or so to get that off of there. It was kind of a pain because it was stuck on there really well, but now we've got it down to where we've got the big I-beam pieces here on the sides exposed. So I think that's going to be our best bet to start attaching our hinge point to. We've got the bigger sleeves here that the pin is going to go through kind of already set in place, and I've got them squared up and true with each other with this big H-beam that's sitting up here now. So I can get those tacked in, and then once the end pieces are tacked in, the center beam is just a hair lower. For some reason, there was probably some dirt or something there when we slid it in place. So since it's a little lower, once I get the sides all tacked in, I can lift this up, slide this in, clamp it to it, and then weld that one in too. So once those are all welded in place, then the next thing to do would probably be to take a couple of straps and just go beside each one of those grease certs and run a strap all the way over it. I think we've got some big heavy strap laying around here that we can kind of heat and weld and just kind of form it right over the top of that, and hopefully that's going to lock everything in place enough to hold everything. Well, everybody, I've got to be honest with you. Stick welding all these multiple passes in there and all that big heavy iron is actually taking longer than I anticipated that it would. So I'm going to turn this video series into 3 videos, and in our next video we'll have this thing wrapped up and finished. So you guys want to make sure and hit the subscribe button down below the video and the little bell next to it so you guys get notifications of when the next video comes out. And we'll be back to work on this thing next week and get it wrapped up and finished up. So be looking for that, and I'll see you guys on that video.